Look, I know, no one likes ads. I don't either. So I'll keep this really simple. If this podcast brings you calm, if it helps you reset, or even just makes you feel a little more human each week, there is a way to support it. It's called Calm It Down Deeper. You'll get early access to episodes, daily morning affirmations every weekday, and the quiet knowing that you're helping this continue. Yes, I want to bring on guests. Yes, I want to host live meditations. Yes, I want to sit and count daisy petals with you. I'm trying. As an artist, as a composer, as a podcaster, doing all of this by myself, while also being a dad and a husband and a human, I'm trying. So if this podcast has helped you, maybe this is your way of helping back. Head over to calmitdownpodcast.com and join the deeper community. And if now is not the right time, that's okay. We'll find those daisies together someday. Thank you. And now, on with the show. You know, this episode comes from a question sent by Brandwin, which I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Thank you for not only writing in, but for your patience, because I really wanted to take the time to think this one through and to speak with people who know far more than I do in certain areas. And that's a lot of people because this one is not simple. When it comes to relationships, most of us understand that we probably won't be someone's first. Not the first kiss, not the first date, not the first hand held during a scary moment. Breakups happen, right? Stories, they shift and life goes on. But this question is something different. It's about someone who has lived through something really devastating. They lost someone that they loved, truly loved, and maybe it was even love of their life. And now they're with you, and you love them. You really do. But here's the part that's harder to say out loud. Sometimes it feels like you're living in someone else's story, like they had a chapter that ended too soon, and now you're being asked to write the next one. That's hard. And as much as you want to be okay with that, sometimes you're not. So today we're going to rename what that feels like. And more importantly, what to do when it makes you feel like you'll never be enough. I'm Chad Lawson, and let's calm it down in 3, 2, 1. Let's be honest. Let's be honest about what this is. You're not asking them to forget. You're not trying to erase the person that they lost. You're just wondering if there is space for you in the life that still aches for someone else. And no one tells you how confusing that this is, right? How you can feel compassion and comparison at the same time. You can feel both. How you can feel grateful to be loved, and also uncertain if you're truly chosen. And you're not crazy for feeling this way. You're not cruel. You're human. So let's figure out what to do with this, okay? So first things first, don't compete with the memory. Let's get one thing straight. You are not in a competition, because the person that they lost, you're never going to win against that version. And you shouldn't have to. I mean, memories don't change. They don't disappoint. They don't argue about where to eat, or they don't leave socks in weird places. And you're not being compared to a real person anymore. You're being compared to a version that is frozen in time. So here's your reminder. You are not meant to compete. You are meant to connect. So the moment that you stop asking, am I as good as they were? And then you start asking, am I being met here right now with what I need? That's the shift. And then you have to say the thing that you're afraid to say. Let's go ahead and name the fear, right? If I bring this up, I'll sound insecure or selfish or worse, insensitive. But silence doesn't resolve anything. Resentment grows where words are withheld. So here's a way to start this conversation. I know you've been through something I can't fully understand, and I want to support you. But I also need to know, do you have room to love me also? Not as a replacement, but as me. See, that's not confrontation, that's clarity. And if they care about you, and it sounds like that they really do, they'll want to know how you're feeling. So you have to let yourself be fully seen. So don't shrink. Don't shrink to accommodate someone else's loss. Don't edit yourself down because you think your sadness is less valid than theirs. You're allowed to want joy. You're allowed to want a future that isn't stuck in the past. And you're allowed to be loved out loud, not quietly, not partially, not carefully, but fully. So ask yourself, am I showing up as my full self here? Or am I tiptoeing around grief that isn't mine? Because if the answer is the latter, it's time to let yourself breathe again. But then you also have to redefine what enough looks like. You might never make this person as happy as they did. Not because you're less, but because it's a different kind of happiness, right? Different doesn't mean worse, and enough doesn't mean identical. You will bring things into this person's life that they never could, right? Just like that person brought things into their life that you won't. That doesn't mean that you're failing. It just means you're real. And real love, the kind that lasts, it has room for grief. It has room for growth. So instead of saying, am I enough like her? Am I enough of me? Because that's the only version of love that's actually sustainable, right? And then we have to build something that really belongs to you. You cannot live your relationship inside someone else's memory. You have to create new ones. So together, here's your homework, okay? This week, find one thing, just one, that's yours. Maybe it's a ritual, or a shared playlist, or a Saturday morning routine, or maybe a phrase that you say when things get really difficult in life. It doesn't have to be big, it just has to be yours, okay? Something that says, we're not living in what used to be. We're living in this. So, if you remember nothing, like nothing else from this, I want you to understand, you are not a placeholder. You are not the next best option. You are not the footnote of someone else's love story. You're here now. You're choosing, you're loving, you're staying. You get to ask for space. You get to be chosen back. And you get to say, this is hard, yet I still deserve to be fully seen, because you do. And so while this one was for brand one, it's actually for anyone who's ever felt like the person they love is still halfway in the past. Love after loss is never simple, but it can still be honest, and it can still be whole. You don't have to be anyone else. You just have to be you. And that is already more than enough. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And until next time, be kind to your mind and join me again as we calm it down. To find more episodes of Calm It Down, see where I may be appearing in your area, or just simply want to know where to send me some chocolate chip cookies, visit calmitdownpodcast.com. This podcast was written and produced by yours truly, Chad Lawson. composer, pianist, and nationally recognized sweet tooth. The views, expressions, and techniques in this episode are of my personal opinion and not intended, nor should they, serve as a substitute for medical advice or diagnosis rendered to you by your individual doctor or other healthcare provider. Only a licensed physician should evaluate your situation, provide a diagnosis, or render other medical advice to you. And you should only act upon the advice of this physician. Now, I'm an extreme empath by nature, but my profession is that of a composer and pianist, not a licensed therapist or physician. I hear from thousands of listeners how my music has helped them through various stages of emotional needs, and I simply want to offer this in future podcast episodes to aid those needs. So to find a list of licensed professionals in your area, please visit calmitdownpodcast.com. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, please leave a review, or better yet, share it with a friend. While it takes less than 60 seconds to do, its impact will last for years to come, as every little bit helps in growing the awareness and the importance of mental and emotional health. Thank you for listening. Thank you for living. And until next time, be kind to your mind and join me again as we calm it down.